Good morning, everyone, and welcome, of course, to Temple Buddhist Center's weekly Sunday meditation service. My name is Victor, and I'm honored to be of service this morning. We hope that our service today finds each and every one of you happy and healthy, but please know that if you're struggling in any way, we hope that our service and our Sangha can be a source of strength and refuge for you as we open our hearts to you and to your loved ones. Let's begin this morning with a few conscious breaths. Conscious breath work is where you seal the mouth, breathe deeply through the nose, hold that breath for a few moments, and then release slowly so that the exhale is longer than the inhale. And of course, if you have a stuffy nose or something like that, it's okay to just breathe in any way that you possibly can. Let's begin. Holding that breath for just a moment, feeling the fullness of the lungs, and then releasing slowly. And as you release, bringing your awareness to the body, just checking in, noticing any points that might be tense or contracted, remembering to release the forehead and unfurrow the eyebrows. Let the shoulders drop, and the belly softens, releases, and unfolds. And a second conscious breath together. Releasing slowly. And as you release, giving yourself full and complete permission to unplug from that energy of going and doing, striving, efforting, meeting the perceived needs of the world each and every day. As together in Sangha, we cultivate the energy of just being. Nowhere to go, nothing to do, nothing to add to yourself, nothing to take away, a perfect expression of consciousness. And a third conscious breath together. Releasing. And as you release, allowing into your awareness the present moment. There is just this. This is all there is. Here at Temple Buddhist Center, we like to begin our services with a little bit of chanting. Chanting is an integral part of every tradition. Chanting is not about being a singer. It is about having a voice. It is about a deeply devotional expression of what is sacred within you and sharing that with the universe. Our chant today is Dhanavad Kritanya Hum. Dhanavad Kritanya Hum. And in the Buddhist tradition, this is it cultivates a heart of gratitude. It is, you recognize the first word, dana, in the Buddhist practice. Dana is that whole aspect of being where we are grateful. As the Buddha said, you have cause for nothing but joy and gratitude in this life. And so that is our chant. And we are also welcoming all the folks who are joining us from all around the world, who are at home watching us on the streaming, on the website or on Facebook. And I'm sure they'll be joining us as well. So let's take a conscious breath. And let's begin. Dhanavad Kritanya Hum. Dhanavad Kritanya Hum. Dhanavad Dhanavad Kritanyahum Dhanavad Kritanyahum Dhanavad Kritanyahum. With a smile. Dhanavad Kritanyahum Dhanavad Kritanyahum. Once more. Dhanavad Kritanyahum. And so here at Temple Buddhist Center, we practice Western Buddhism. Western Buddhism is a blend of Eastern philosophy and Western psychology. And this new and exciting form of spirituality is dynamic, it's inclusive, it's active, and it focuses on core Buddhist insights, as well as mindfulness, meditation, and their practical applications in our daily lives. Our goal here is not to get everyone to agree on a specific lineage or philosophy or sect of Buddhism, but rather it is on a shared experience of mindfulness, oneness, and love. Whether we are chanting together, sharing from the heart, or spending time in noble silence, we respect that you will participate at a level that is comfortable for you. We take refuge in the three jewels of the Buddhist tradition, and we acknowledge these core values as expressions of the awakened mind: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We value awareness of our Buddha nature, as well as the Buddha nature of all beings. And this way, it provides a new perspective on each and every encounter. The second jewel, the Dharma, or the truth teachings, the teachings that release us from fear, delusion, and help us to realize the true nature of who we are. And finally, Sangha, our spiritual community, an essential part of growth, where we come together to help each other to understand the teachings and to help each other as we practice on every step of the path. And so let's take a moment to silence any cell phones or electronic devices. If you're at home, whatever you need to do to prepare your surroundings for a time in contemplation and meditation. We're going to begin with the prayer of refuge, which we will recite 3 times for the 3 jewels. So the first time we recite it, you can come from that Buddha nature. And the second time, it is for the teachings and for this moment. And the third time we recite, it is for our community, both near, far, known, and unknown. Let's take a conscious breath together. And let's begin. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. And so as we prepare now for a time in meditation, if you have an extensive practice, then we invite you to practice in a way that is fitting for you this morning. If body, speech, and mind, in perfect oneness, I send my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness, transcend the path of anxiety and sorrow, and realize the true nature of who they are.
Space, in this time. Noticing the seat that you're sitting in, or the cushion beneath you. And bringing awareness to the breath. Arriving in this body, in this moment, with this breath. Nothing to do, nothing to make happen. Simply to relax into the experience of breathing, of wish to allow the sensations of breathing to become your focus, to become your anchor. Perhaps noticing the rising and falling of the breath at the chest or at the belly. Or perhaps the subtle sound of the breath. As we rest in presence, allowing ourselves to come back home to each moment. Anytime we might find ourselves getting lost or distracted by thoughts, by anything that takes us from this very breath. Without judgment, without self-criticism, just allowing ourselves to come home again and again and again. Come home to being. Come home to pure, loving awareness. Which is what we are. We rest together in this loving
Coming home to this very breath. Noticing where the awareness lies. Coming home to this breath. I invite us to bring the awareness now to sound, to the sense gate of sound, hearing my voice, hearing the sounds in this room. And bringing the awareness to the sensation of feeling. Perhaps feeling the coolness of the air on your skin. Feeling the sensation of your clothing, of the seat below you. And being fully present as we listen for the sound of our closing bell to end our formal time of meditation. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's so good to see all your faces here today. And good morning to all of you joining virtually or watching the archive later. Welcome. I'd like to talk today about the topic of self-compassion. And I'd like to start off by sharing a very personal story. One of my first true experiences with self-compassion. So I invite you to just open your heart and to listen through your heart. And this is from actually a writing of mine. Wrapped in a cold sweat and blankets at 4 a.m. in a cabin in the woods somewhere in Kansas. Fitfully tossing and turning, plagued with panic, confusion, and shame. No sleep, no cell signal, no one to turn to in that dark hour. I had isolated myself at that cabin in order to figure things out. But I already knew in my gut it was time to make some big changes in my life, and I was terrified. Heart racing, stomach in knots. There was nothing I could do to relieve the suffering. I tried to sleep, but my mind swirled incessantly. Will I survive if I let everything go? I should have figured this out a long time ago, and now I'm hurting others. I'm a bad person and will be alone forever. I am flawed. I pleaded for some kind of relief or support. And then the words of Buddhist nun Pema Chodron fluttered through my mind with the grace of a butterfly. Place the fearful mind in the cradle of loving kindness. With much surprise, I found myself for the first time wrapping my own arms around my suffering self, as if I were cradling a beloved child. I rocked myself back and forth with a shh sound. I spoke gentle, loving words of reassurance to myself as I imagined little Jenny wrapped in a blanket of loving kindness. The sticky residue of self-criticism and shame were still there, but engulfed by the warmth of loving awareness and acceptance that became a transmuting force. This memory stays with me as proof that no matter how isolated I feel, no matter how much I might hate myself, no matter how much I long for belonging, love can still be present. Love is the witness. Love lives within me. It's been a number of years since that experience, but I wanted to open with that, to acknowledge that, we can hear the phrase self-compassion and think, isn't that nice? Isn't that lovely? But the practice of self-compassion isn't always easy. It isn't always rosy. Sometimes it's freaking messy. The word compassion means to suffer with. Compassion is defined as the feeling that arises when you are confronted with another's or your own suffering and feel motivated to relieve that suffering. We know from the Four Noble Truths that life is suffering, right? Life is dukkha. Being human is hard sometimes, right? Our bodies feel pain sometimes, as well as pleasure. Our minds are never satisfied. And they're designed that way, by the way. So don't worry. And everything changes. Everything changes. Everything we love will eventually end, including our own lives. This is the human experience. So suffering happens when we have a resistance to what is. You know, it shouldn't be this way. Or I shouldn't be this way. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the parable of the second arrow, perhaps. The parable of the second arrow is when the Buddha spoke of when we're hit with life's misfortunes, sometimes there can be two arrows that hit us. The first arrow is the arrow from the misfortune itself, the pain of the misfortune. And that arrow is said to be unavoidable. That is life. The second arrow, however, is optional. The second arrow is our reaction to the pain. And that can cause suffering. You know the phrase, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Or as I say as an artist, paint is inevitable, suffering is optional. It inevitably gets all over me. So we exacerbate the pain of our failures, of our shortcomings, when we add self-criticism and judgment on top of it. That it shouldn't be this way, that I shouldn't be this way. It's estimated that roughly 85% of Americans suffer from low self-esteem, which of course can make us more susceptible to anxiety, to depression, to other conditions. Of course, overly high self-esteem isn't necessarily any better, right? Then we can end up with arrogance, with a sense of entitlement, overlooking our own flaws and criticizing others, narcissism. So according to researcher Kristen Neff, who is really, she's a pioneer in the study of self-compassion. She says that self-compassion actually picks up where self-esteem falls short. And the reason for that is because self-compassion doesn't require a value system. It doesn't require that we are better than something else in order to feel better about ourselves. And in fact, there's three key elements to self-compassion in her studies. So let's break that down for a minute. The first element of self-compassion is actually mindfulness. Because, well, first we must be aware that we're suffering, right? Especially if we are the cause of our own suffering. This can sound like a no-brainer, but how many of us are self-critical, have that kind of continual negative self-talk? And we may not even be aware of that. We can be our own worst critic, right? So mindfulness, being aware of our suffering, whether it's coming from inside or outside. The second element of self-compassion is self-kindness. So offering support in response to our suffering. And this would be in the same way that we speak to our best friend when they're in pain, when they're in need. How do we talk to our best friends? Perhaps we say, I'm so sorry that you're hurting. This must be so difficult. Is there anything I can do to help? So we're not criticizing, we're not trying to change, we're not trying to fix. We're simply offering kindness to the suffering. And the third element of self-compassion is an acknowledgement of our shared humanity. So rather than feeling isolated or flawed or getting caught in self-pity, we rather feel connected to the suffering of all beings. We know that suffering is part of the human experience, and we're no longer isolating ourselves and thinking that something is wrong with us. But we can connect to that heart of all beings who are suffering in the same way, in that moment. So again, mindfulness, self-kindness, and acknowledgement of our shared humanity. So we move from the reptilian brain of the fight, flight, freeze into more of the mammalian brain, the tend and befriend. And you might be saying, well, self-compassion, that would make me lazy or self-indulgent. And actually, the studies, there's been a whole lot of studies on this, a whole lot of research, which is really exciting. The studies showed the exact opposite. That self-compassion practice actually supports us better and makes us more motivated to change and to grow than we would be if we were being hard on ourselves all the time. So what does this practice look like in practice? What does self-compassion look like in practice? You may wish to bring a challenge to your mind, that something that is causing suffering in your life now. Maybe you're experiencing a disappointment or a heartbreak or a perceived failure, or maybe just the stress of life. Maybe you're a caregiver to others. Maybe you're struggling with an addiction. Whatever it is, we begin by acknowledging the suffering. Simply to say, this hurts. This is hard. And then to begin to offer encouraging self-talk in even a soothing voice. This can be out loud to ourselves, or this can be through our thoughts. It's okay. My love, my darling, it's okay. I know you're hurting. My love is here to stay. You are enough. You are worthy. You are worthy of love just as you are. And this can include practicing gentle self-touch, perhaps bringing a hand to the heart. You can even stroke your face, your hair. Imagine how a loving mother or parent would tend to their child. Now, if this sounds completely out of the picture, that's okay. You can imagine, using your power of imagination and your mind, imagine that you are being cradled by whoever represents compassion to you. a bodhisattva, perhaps the Buddha, or Kuan Yin, or Tara, or perhaps Mother Mary, whoever represents that compassion for you. Just imagine being held in those loving arms. Remembering that you are human and that you belong. You belong. This suffering, this belongs. The question that really shifted everything for me was to ask myself the question, what do you need? What do you need right now? And again, not on a surface level need, but just that presence. And oftentimes, what we need most is our own presence. That loving witness, that loving, non-judgmental witness. So you may be asking, so what's the difference between love and compassion then? Right? These are two of the 4 Brahma Viharas, or divine abodes, right? Metta is loving kindness. Karuna is compassion. Mudita, sympathetic joy. And upekkha, or equanimity. So what is the difference between love, metta, and compassion, karuna? There's a phrase that I heard, this is attributed to a meditation teacher in Myanmar, and I love this. It is that when the sunshine of loving kindness meets the tears of suffering, the rainbow of compassion appears. When the sunshine of loving kindness meets the tears of suffering, the rainbow of compassion appears. So basically, when love meets the suffering of ourselves or another, it becomes compassion. Or when love meets the joy of others, it becomes mudita, or sympathetic joy. And when love meets impermanence, it becomes equanimity. O nobly born sons and daughters of the Buddha, remember who you are. This phrase is the opening of many Buddhist texts, and it speaks to our inherent goodness, our perfect imperfections, our divine humanness. It speaks to our potential for awakening despite our shortcomings. Even when we are wrapped in cold sweats and blankets at 4 a.m, feeling isolated and alone, O nobly born, sons and daughters of the Buddha, remember who you are. And so I'd like to close this talk with the wise words of the Queen of Pop sage, Whitney Houston. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. So my friends, be gentle with your heart and know that self-compassion is a practice. It can be messy, it can be hard, but it is our practice. Namaste.
Thank you so much, Jenny. Let's just take a moment and embody the teachings, remembering to drop out of our heads and into our hearts and just feel, sense the truth of the teachings and how they resonate within our bodies. Not just how they jog the memory or trigger the mind, but how they feel and sense. And as we move now from the Dharma talk to a heart practice, it's not uncommon to want to shift your posture, maybe adjust the clothing a little bit, or take a conscious breath, acknowledge this transition. And our heart practice today is a gratitude practice, a gratitude practice. And so I invite you to again go ahead and take a conscious breath or to assume a meditative posture or position. And in heart practice, some people like to place a hand, as Jenny was talking about, a soothing touch, place a hand on their heart. Some people like to create the Anjali Mudra or the prayer hands, the heart focusing. And it's also absolutely acceptable to simply remain in a meditative position with your hands on your laps, but we invite you to flip them upwards so that the palms are facing up and out as a way to sort of like an antenna dish to send this out. And we begin breathing deeply. Again, checking in with the body, making sure to drop the shoulders and release any tension. Make any adjustments to partner with the form to find a deeper state of relaxation and gentleness. And we begin the practice of gratitude by feeling deeply in our hearts how year after year you have cared for your own body and mind. And as your heart expands, let yourself begin to acknowledge all that has supported you in this care. I hold in my heart gratitude for the care and labor of 1,000 generations of ancestors who have come before me. I hold in my heart gratitude for the creatures of the sky, the earth, and the water, whose joyful exertion blesses every day. I hold in my heart gratitude for the family and friends I have been given. I hold in my heart gratitude for the community that I share and the blessings of this earth. I hold in my heart gratitude for the measure of health that I have at this moment. I hold in my heart gratitude for the teachings and the lessons that I have been given. I hold in my heart gratitude for my teachers, both formal and informal. And just as we are grateful for our blessings, so too we can be grateful for the blessings of all the others, of all beings in all places. Let us feel gratitude for their blessings as well. Taking a moment now to let our hearts fill with this warmth, this love, and this light of gratitude, allowing it to expand and fill your whole body down into the belly, the hips, the legs, up into your chest and shoulders, neck, head, into the arms, allowing it to expand even further and intensify until you become a light, a beacon, influencing everyone you meet today. And with that, let's take a conscious breath together. And release. And in the true spirit of Dana, the Buddhist practice of generosity, temple services here are given freely. And in the same way, if you choose to give, please give with a generous heart, which means not in return for anything that you have received today, but rather so that those who may be seeking refuge will find it here in this temple with these teachers and with these teachings. The Dana boxes are located at the back of the meditation hall. We take a moment of gratitude for all of our amazing ambassadors, those folks who have committed themselves to regular monthly electronic giving. It's not about the amount, it's just that the regular monthly giving helps us to set a budget here at Temple Buddhist Center. Also, tremendous gratitude for all of our volunteers, those folks who work tirelessly each and every day to help bring more opportunities for connection, sangha, education, spiritual growth, and nourishment. Also, thank you so much to Rochelle for your wonderful music. Thank you. Thank you so much, Miss Jenny Hahn, for your wonderful talk today, your wisdom, and everything that you are doing for Temple Buddhist Center, and for just being a great friend. And thank you to each and every one of you for everything that you do for Temple Buddhist Center, for sharing your heart and your presence and your practice here with us at Temple Buddhist Center. We certainly are the better for it. And so as we prepare to formally end our time together, I will place the bodhicitta dedication on the screen. And don't forget our folks up in the heavenly abodes. And we'll close with our bodhicitta dedication, and then I have a couple of announcements for you. And so, together, may the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion unstoppably, until all are illumined and awakened. And with the palms of our hands together in front of our hearts, as we go forth now from this place, may we enter each moment in innocence, guided by the wisdom of our hearts. And as we open our hands, open our eyes, shine our light into the world, namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. A quick reminder that there is tea, coffee, and cookies downstairs available to you. As you get those, you're welcome to bring them back up and join our post-service discussion group, which happens right outside the meditation doors to your left in Heritage Hall. And if you happen to, for any reason, miss that one, starting today is we're beginning a second post-service discussion group. So the first one was so popular, we've added another one. Thank you so much, Matt. And It's right downstairs. It's actually right underneath this room, literally. So if you just go down the stairs that are right here or right there, and you'll go underneath this room, is it follow the orange line? Follow the orange line and you'll go right to it. And that post-service discussion group begins at 11:45. It's right after the second service. So we have one now after the first and after the second. Also, we had a huge infusion of books into our loving lending library. Thank you so much to Shannon and his family. They've been bringing boxes and boxes of books. So if you have some books at home, some Dharma books on Buddhism, meditation, or mindfulness, the Eastern practices, by all means, please bring them up and put them in our lending library. If you are interested, all you have to do is come up and kind of sift through the lending library and let a book check you out. Don't forget, coming up on February 19th is something brand new. We're calling it our Sunday Spiritual Cinema film series. And so every now and then, right now it's not a monthly basis, it's just kind of an occasionally, we're going to have Sunday Spiritual Cinema. And so on the 19th at 1, our first film is called A Cloud Never Dies. This is a beautiful film that was prepared for the passing of Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh and will lead to fabulous discussion about this thing that we all call death and how it works from the Buddhist perspective. So we'll be doing that. We'll do a little meditation. We'll watch the film. It's only 30 minutes long, and then we'll spend some time in discussion afterwards. So a great opportunity to continue to deepen our practice in Sangha and in looking at different traditions and how they view various things. Kyle, how are we doing with our Basics of Buddhism class? We're down to just a couple spots. Oh, it's full. Wow. Okay, well, moving right along. Very glad to hear that. We have been very blessed. It seems like every single thing that we do is just selling out very quickly. So we're learning to start offering multiple sections of it. So we're getting there, so bear with us. A couple things I want to bring your attention to. There's the second post-service discussion group is on there. Every Wednesday at noon, no matter where you're at, you can join us for a 30-minute meditation on Facebook Live. So we have folks joining us from work. Some of them tell me they're pulling over on the side of the road, and they're just meditating with us. Please be safe. Tai Chi Cha is being offered every Tuesday evening now. And yes, we have another full moon meditation. People keep coming up and asking me, when's the next full moon meditation? The next one is March 10th from 7 to 9. And then we also have a day-long quarterly retreat right here coming up on March 25th. So that's a great opportunity for folks to deepen their practice. Come and meditate on a Saturday from 9 to 4:30 with us. We'll do a silent lunch, and there's walking meditation. There's, of course, formal practice and a Dharma talk. So that's coming up as well. All of these things are on our website, templebuddhistcenter.com, and also on our Facebook page. As you exit the doors today, don't forget to stop by the counter there. There's some little flyers of different things, these things. You can also sign up for our newsletter, which is supposed to be weekly, but comes out once a month every 6 months. So needless to say, you are not going to be bombed with spam, but you will get an occasional note from me. Thank you, everybody, so much, and peace and blessings, and go Chiefs.